Well, another Franken accuser, a second woman, has now come forward alleging Democrat Senator Al Franken groped her while taking a picture with him after he'd actually been elected to the Senate. So there's a case mounting to remove him from the Senate. To Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett. Greg, so now you got two pictures. One at least, two pictures and two accusations.
Right.
But the first picture that came out where he's literally got his hands on the woman's breast, the sleeping woman, that, to me, that looks like molestation. That would be an easy thing to charge, right?
Under federal law, that picture right there is incriminating evidence of what is known as abusive sexual conduct, touching a woman on her private parts without consent. And the law says being asleep presumes that she is not consenting. Now,
so if it's against the law, one would think it would definitely be unbefitting of a member of the U.S. Senate, right?
Absolutely. And it is rich reason why the Ethics Committee should investigate Al Franken. Now, the statute of limitations may have run on that particular photograph, but now there's a new accusation that he did essentially the same thing, touching a woman in her private areas over her clothing without her consent. Again, it's a violation of federal law, but there's no photograph of it. So it's a he said, she said on the second accusation.
Here's the problem right now of kicking him out of the Senate is the Senate process, as we know, the Ethics Committee is a toothless beast. I mean, you can be convicted of something through the Ethics Committee and still remain in Senate, as happened with Bob Packwood. And the sexual harassment process.
They voted to expel him, and he resigned.
But let's just go over what is involved in the sexual harassment process. The victim has to wait 3 months before that victim can file a complaint. They have to submit to 30 days of counseling before anything happens, and then they have to wait another 30 days for mediation and another 30 days to seek a hearing. And, of course, if there is a settlement, it's paid for by the taxpayer, not by the member of Congress.
And is kept secret.
Yeah.
This was designed by Congress to protect themselves and make it as difficult as possible legally for accusers to prevail. This law was signed by President Bill Clinton, who is accused of being a serial predator himself, so there's some irony there. This law needs to be abolished. This needs to be brought into the 21st century, where we are sensitive to and attentive to accusations of sexual assault and harassment. There needs to be transparency, no more protection for members of Congress, and we ought to make it easier for people to bring their cases in, not in secret.
But unless or until that law is changed, it's pretty certain, unless this guy is going to resign, he's going to remain in office through 2020. And that means, I mean, you got these pictures, particularly the first one, which is going to look great in political ads over the next few years.
This is just the beginning. There are two accusers. Will there be more? And if there are more, maybe the Senate Ethics Committee will grow a backbone and actually take something beyond admonition, a public admonition or censure, and expel Al Franken from the United States Senate.
Hell might freeze over before that happens. Greg, thank you very much. Greg Jarrett, good to see you.